right, now, we're about to go to West Virginia because I received the following email. My friend Lawrence has an entity or entities now in his house. They touch him. They create chaos at night, but not every night. I've had personally, that's the writer of this fax, 3 experiences with it or them myself while watching TV playing cards. And the first time I visited his house. We're old friends. We go back to grade school together. Only recently got together for motorcycle rides on Sundays. And so, without taking you through this secondhand, which, there's much more obviously in the email, I called these 2 gentlemen, and here they are. And I want to be sure it's okay to use your last names before I use them. I have Lawrence with me. Good morning, Lawrence.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, your name then is Lawrence Knotts, right?
Right.
And where are you, Lawrence?
Located in Barber County, West Virginia.
West Virginia. All right. And your friend, Sonny? Sonny, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And where are you? How far away?
About 5 miles, Nestorville.
5 miles away. All right. What I heard earlier today, when I talked to you, Lawrence, I thought was horrifying. You told me, I guess you listen to me at night because you can't sleep at night anyway. Is that right?
True.
You can't sleep.
The signal's only occasional at my location.
You told me things, entities, something, even would go so far as to gouge at your eyes?
Correct.
All right. How long has this been going on, Lawrence?
Approximately 3 years.
3 years. You've been living in a haunted house for 3 years. How did it begin?
Well, I had sold some piece of timber that had an Indian grave on it, and the week I sold it, something showed up in my house.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You sold a piece of, you said timber? You mean like land with timber?
Yeah, I inherited the property.
Yes, sir.
And I sold the timber off of it.
Oh, so in other words, you still own the property, but you allowed them to cut the timber.
Right.
Gotcha. 1 week later, it begins.
Yeah.
What began to happen?
Well, first of all, I was laying in bed, had my left arm sticking out over the edge of the bed, relaxing and sleeping.
May I stop you and ask you, are you married?
No, I'm divorced.
You're divorced. All right, so you live alone?
I do now. The problem, I did have my mother living with me, and the thing got to attacking her, and she left. And she messed with my girlfriend, and she took off. Messed with my daughters, and they took off.
Oh, my God. Well, this has really ruined your life then, hasn't it?
It's made it very trying.
All right. Anyway, so here you are a week later, your hands hanging off the bed, which a lot of people do when they're asleep. Were you awake or asleep?
I was definitely awake.
Definitely awake.
I just laid down within 3 minutes of laying down, and I was definitely awake.
And what happened?
Something grabbed my arm, felt like a person's hand grabbed me by the wrist. And I immediately took my right hand, my left hand was laying out over the edge of the bed, and I took my right hand and tried to grab what had me. And to no avail. Natural
reaction, yeah. That's what you'd try to do. Of course, you'd reach right around immediately, and you couldn't grab anything? Like, what?
I didn't strike nothing with my right hand.
Was the pressure still on your left hand?
It released when I grabbed for it. It released off my left hand.
All right.
My left wrist.
All right. It was kind of then, hello there, I'm here.
Yeah.
Something like that?
It didn't speak at that time. It didn't make no noises at that time, but I got up and went through the house and checked everything, and everything was peaceful and quiet, so like it should have been. I went back to bed, decided, well, I'll throw the other arm out on the other side of the bed and see what happens.
Oh, did you now? See, now, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have been scared, you know what, Liz, and so I wouldn't have done that, but you did that. You put the other arm out.
Yeah.
Pretty gutsy.
And something grabbed it on the other side of the bed.
Okay. And then?
My fright level went through the roof. But I got thinking just a second that maybe this is something good, a good spirit. I'm a God-fearing man, and I believe in the Bible and stuff, and things it says, and I thought maybe it was a messenger from God. And
Lawrence, how old are you?
49.
49. Are you working or?
I'm currently disabled.
You're disabled, all right, and you obviously have some independent means, I guess, property, money left to you by relatives, that kind of thing, so you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so then what? I mean, what next, and where did this go? 3 years is a long time.
Yeah, well, I asked it, I thought maybe it was good. I said, if you're good, touch my hand. And it grabbed me by the arm. I said, if you're good, touch my hand. And grabbed me by the arm again. Slid right down to my wrist and stopped. I said, well, if you're definitely bad, hit me on the hand. He hit me on the hand 3 times.
He hit you on the hand?
3 times.
I say he, who the heck knows if it's a he? Or maybe you do.
Well, it covers everything. But I nicknamed it Taz. After a while,
Taz? You called the ghost Taz?
Yeah. Because it would make, got so if you do anything that it didn't like, it'd make grumbling noises like that little cartoon character the kids watches.
Grumbling noises?
Yeah. Sort of modeled to where you couldn't understand it. It sounded like it might have been either Indian or Latin or something, but it wasn't English language.
I see. Okay, not English.
Not English. And I, by trial and error, went along for a while, and by trial and error, during the lightning storm, I realized it was giving me fits all night long, and trying to yank me out of bed and pulling my hair and all kind of crazy stuff.
What now? Yanked you off the bed?
Yeah, they actually kicked or done something to the bed, threw me in the mattress both halfway off once.
Good Lord.
But,
now, a lot of people, obviously, Lawrence, are going to say, this guy's crackers. That's going to be some of the reaction out there in the audience. And that's why I had your friend come on tonight, the fellow who contacted me, Sonny. Let's break the story for a second. Sonny?
Yes.
Lawrence is telling the truth, don't you?
Well, yes. Now, first I was out there with the cracker people. Maybe we traveled together for a while, and he kept talking about it and everything, and I hadn't had any experience, and then I did. What
happened?
Well, we had taken the 98 summer to ride bikes on Sundays, and I had recently went up to a flea market up at Elkins and bought a nice leather hat, and I never took it off except to eat and everything. It was my favorite hat. But I went down there on a Sunday evening, and he had the family in, and I just was speaking with him this afternoon, and he said, well, that was a family reunion going on, and that was the aftermath of it. I went into the house because I didn't go to his house. In all the summer, I did not go to his house because of that, and I'm a God-fearing man. I went down there, and he had some people down there, and he'll tell you the story about it, but the person I hadn't seen for a long time, Kenny, and his wife, since high school.
Right.
So I left the house, and a couple days later I went, what the heck did I do with that hat? And I left it down there. Now, that might be a mundane thing for someone. Oh, you just bought a hat. You've left it there. But something drew me to the house that evening. I don't know why. I left the hat. So the following Saturday I called, and his mother answered the phone, and I asked her about this thing. She said, well, something really did happen that Sunday night, really terrible. And I said, well, I need my hat. I said, you ever had any experiences about this, his mother, Orpha? And she had. And she said it went into her legs and done some other things with the grandchildren and everything. And so I got kind of nervous, and I went down to the preacher down here and had a couple crosses anointed and carried one in my pocket and left one on top of the bed just to be safe. Maybe that's overly safe, but if you believe in one spirit, you got to believe in good and bad.
You do what you believe.
Yeah, you can't.
I have no problem with that. So you armed yourself.
I armed myself. I went back, got my hat. That was the first experience that I figured out later that had to do something, because they can play mind games, and I found that out.
Did you ever observe any of the goings on of the sort that Lawrence is telling us about?
Well, he showed me 2 nights of videos in one night, if you understand that. He showed me 2 videotapes of a lengthy time when he was retiring.
Yes.
And he showed me the first one was, and these are length, and they're very boring. I hate to say this, Lawrence, but they're very boring.
Well, he was probably videotaping himself in bed.
Yes, he was.
That's pretty boring to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the first one, I watched the bed move up and down, and I said, "Hey, that's the autofocus doing that." Trouble was, the only portion of the bed would move slowly up and down, and nothing was causing the focus to move. Nothing else you could. Usually, you can hear the mechanical part of the camera doing that.
Of course.
And it wasn't. So the next film.
Well, moreover, more importantly, if the only part of the picture that was moving was the bed up and down, not the whole picture,
right,
then you've got a legitimate shot.
Right. The next one that he showed me was, you had to look very closely, but the thing was moving over across him, and he was talking.
Wait a minute. The entity was
moving?
Well,
whatever you call it, because it was fuzzy on the film, moving across. And this man is, I've known him for a long time.
What do you mean by fuzzy? You mean like sort of...
it made the bed out of focus where it was moving.
Where it was moving? Oh,
yeah,
really?
like the size of about triple the size of a basketball.
Lawrence, you didn't tell me you had videotape evidence.
Well, I hadn't got that far yet.
I see. When you watched all this, Sonny, how did you react?
Well, by the end of it, of course I was surprised, but I was also very tired. So it took a while to kick it in. So the next week when we went riding, we discussed it at a place we stopped to dine. And it spooked me out.
Huh.
Well, but the second time was most recently, probably about 2 months ago. I was down there and we was watching something. I don't know. I like science fiction. I like action movies, and we was watching something. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, in my right nostril, I jumped up, and Lawrence said, "What's wrong?" And I was trying to remove something from my nose. And I know that sounds gross, but do you know those worms? I guess, I don't know if they're in the western United States or not. They call them a woolly worm. I don't know the scientific name for them, but they often have black on them and different stripes of brown, and some people say you can tell the length of the season.
Are you talking about these worms with all little tiny legs, or with no legs at all?
Well, they're a very spiny fur on them, and when you hold them, they curl up.
Oh, God, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, anyway, and that's what it felt like was in my right nostril immediately. Didn't crawl up there or anything, just immediately was there. And my eyes were watering. I made it to the bathroom, and I tried to remove this thing by every means which you can feel imaginable, and I sounded awful in there and everything, and so I just excused myself, and I left because I was told not to entertain or identify anything like that if it was evil. Just don't talk to it, just leave. So I left. That was about 2 months ago. And only about 2 weeks ago, I was sitting, we was playing cards, and my girlfriend Jean was there, and I smoke a cigar, and, on occasion, cigars can burn your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, in a certain way, they burn your eyes. But they don't feel like a pin pricking right straight into your eye.
No.
And this is what happened to my left eye first, and within a matter of seconds, my left eye, and then my right eye, and it hurt at that time when it felt like it pricked my eye.
Like somebody was putting a pin in. Yes,
and then it just quit. It wasn't something that stayed there, because everybody has pains in their eyes on occasion.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a normal thing, but that was the third occasion, and I don't know, and I still wouldn't identify it. And only last week, my girlfriend John, she wanted to leave early. She got spooked, so we left early. And I don't know, but
sounds like Lawrence has lost just about everybody close to him in his life over this thing. Is that?
Well, there might. I kept trying to find out about a professor, woman that was a professor up here at West Virginia University had died after a time that I think I might have the story wrong, but these people that were there that Sunday that I left my hat.
Yes.
He'll have to tell you a story because I don't want to tell it second-handed.
All right. So I hope you understand the reason I wanted to bring you on, Sonny, was so that the people understood what Lawrence is saying is known to be true by more than just Lawrence. Because, you know, incredible stories and incredible proof and all that sort of thing. And you guys are eyewitnesses. So what you have said and what you have done for Lawrence as he continues the story is very important, Sonny. Do you have more you want to add, or is that about it, and should I go to Lawrence?
You should go to Lawrence at this time because he's got some amazing things.
All right. Sonny, thank you. Thank you very much on behalf of Sonny and myself. Lawrence and myself, and we'll be back with Lawrence. So, Sonny, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good night. And Lawrence, you stay on the line. We'll be right back. 3 years. I don't know if I'd stay in that for 3 years. How about you? All right, back now to my guest, Lawrence in West Virginia. Okay, Lawrence, we're back on the air again.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know you had videotapes, Lawrence. Is there a way we can get copies of those?
Well, probably. I don't have nothing to copy them off with myself, but.
Okay, maybe you can work it out with Sonny or somebody else because, you know, obviously we'd love to have copies. This is real important stuff. Now, for you, I guess a horror. You lost your mom. She left. Your fiance, you said, left. That's a horror in itself. Tell me something, Lawrence. Why haven't you left?
Well, I lived here for 28 years, and I built the place up myself. And
oh, you built the house?
Yeah. If this had happened to me someplace else, I'd have been going before the sun rose.
Yeah, I hear that.
But when you're at home and you're used to having a home and raised that home's important, it just seemed like not an option to give up on my home. Most people said they ought to leave and stuff, but
so you've talked to a lot of people about this.
Yes, I have.
Oh, what are the things? I mean, your mom, for goodness sake. What specifically do you think scared her so much she finally left? I mean, why?
Well, I'd experienced it being them things that didn't like light, because during the lightning flash, they'd let loose of you and go under the bed and raise the bed up and down.
So not just your bed, but your mom's too?
Well, it didn't get to her for a while. When it did, she was out of here the next day.
See, that'd be me too, Lawrence. I mean, I'm sure you're a great child and your mother loves you, but when my bed went into the air, I'd be out the door.
Well, this thing had the capabilities of inflicting pain on you, like feel like a Charlie horse in your leg.
Yes.
And I'd found out what it's been doing to me, and I told my mother how to break it if it got a hold of you, to shine a bright flashlight over it, and it couldn't take it, and it'd release its hold on you. So I told her, and she thought it was. She kept her bright flashlight in the bed with her, and one night it did, and she had to use the flashlight, so it felt like it was going to tear all the bones out of her leg, and she shined the flashlight on it, and it backed off, which that's the pattern I've been using bright light against it to try to fight the thing with, because there ain't a whole lot you can do to a monkey from hell like that to discourage it.
And that's when she left.
Yeah, she the next day she packed up and moved out. She was the last one.
The last one. So then even before that, you said, was it your fiance?
Yeah, it had messed with her. And
This gal was living in the house with you as your...
Well, she was living here beside me, and she was over here a lot of the time, but
Right.
that thing messed with her. She moved out.
What did she say to you? I mean, with her, was it the same thing? I mean, was it rocking her bed? What?
Well, it was...
Or your bed, collectively?
Well, main thing it was doing to her was causing her pain in different parts of her body. Even when I wasn't in the room or something, or even if I was in the room, she'd say, "Ouch, quit pinching me." And I said, "I ain't pinching you." She said, "Well, sure is something got a hold of me." And a few rounds of that, she went to another territory. She said she might come back and see me someday during daylight hours, but she wasn't going to let the sun set on her here again.
Not in the darkness.
Not in the dark, because them things is really active in the darkness. I'll tell you, I've finally got rid of one, and I got a girl that exorcised it out of the house.
One.
So
you now believe there are, what, more? There's more than one?
There was two sent back to replace it. She told me that she had been learning this exorcism, and said, "Now I got to warn you that you may get two back in place of one. If I do defeat it and get it out of here, there'll be some more sent to could be some more sent to replace it." Said, "I don't know." Said, only time will tell."
So she came, she did an exorcism, that spirit left, and two more arrived.
Yes, it did. And when they arrived very violently.
How so?
All the doors started opening and slamming in the house, and doors started moving. Furniture was moving around, and I tried to go to bed, and the mirrors were shaking, rattling on the walls. The walls was rattling. And I tried to go to bed. It just felt like a pack of dogs had jumped on me and started biting me.
Holy smokes, Lawrence. And you were using you tried to use the light?
I used the flashlight. It just back off. I hooked up a 750,000 candle power spotlight for open air or open country spotting, and I hooked that up to bed, and I used it. It had a lot of power, and I'd flip it over back and forth in the room, and they would back off. But as soon as I dropped the light off of them, they'd start again. So
then, how, Lawrence, do you sleep at night?
Well,
in other words, it's like they're waiting for you, and you can hold them off, but if you go to sleep, you're not holding them off, right?
Well, right. They, if they want to give you problems, I've found things that discourages them. At the present, I have two party strobes. You know, you've seen a strobe light for parties?
You bet.
I've got one of them on each side of the bed that I turn on when I go to bed, and I put a blindfold on so I can sleep. And those things does not like that strobe light, so that maybe 5 or 10 minutes is all they'll be there. But one comes between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
In the morning?
In the morning, yeah. And the other one usually shows up about 10 o'clock, and he's the one that likes to poke you in the eyes so you can't even watch television. Actually,
physically poking you in the eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sonny described happened to him when he...
that's a regular occasion for me.
Regular to be poked in the eyes?
Yeah, it's a virtually every night thing.
Every night?
And they raise my bed up and down, and the new thing that they started recently was scratching the bed.
Scratching the bed you're on?
Yeah, scratching it and then scratching the wall beside of it. I got pretty good nerve around them, but
Lawrence,
that frightens me.
Yeah. Have they ever left physical evidence of what they've done, other than what you have on videotape, which is really something. You're to be commended for doing it. What drove you, by the way, to finally do that, to set up videotape?
Well, everyone that talked to, well, not everyone, but the majority of the people I talked to thought I was losing my mind. I need my medicine changed. And
this is not a rude question, but did you ever ask yourself the same question anytime during all this?
Yeah, but when I started messing with other people, doing things to my daughters and stuff, and one girl wasn't no relative to us. She was here one night. She ran her mouth about. I told her this thing. That's when Taz was still here, before he had been cast out, and I said, Taz is up and about, and he always pulled the hair above my right ear when he wanted me to know he was around. And I'd went out of state and stuff, and when the sun went down, Taz would pull my hair. I tried 3 different states. And
pulling your hair?
Yeah, he had pulled my hair above my right ear to let me know he was there. That was his trademark before he'd start any of his stuff. But the thing of it is, they've got so much static electricity that I took a compass. That girl who took the one out of here said that there's a possibility I might, since there's so much activity here, that she wouldn't come back and work on it anymore because she said it caused her problems. But
you took a compass in there, like an electromagnetic compass?
Yeah, and she said to check out the house and around through the yard and see if there's a portal to hell around. Said they're magnetic. I said, well, can't hurt nothing. So I took it and checked down through the yard and around the house and through the house, and it continued to point due north. But when I went to nights when I went to bed, I decided to take it with me and just watch it and see if I could tell anything. And sure enough, I could hear something coming down the hall, beating the hall wall. And when I got to my door, just as soon as I stepped into my door, that needle on that compass pointing towards that door.
Directly at the door?
Yeah. And as that thing come around the bed and started shaking the left side of the bed and messing with the bed and coming up towards me, that needle followed it just like it just located it, just like it was pointing to north, only it ignored north and went to that thing. And it has so much energy that the hair, especially Taz, the hair will stand up on you and point towards them. You can feel them when they get close to you. Your hair is just like static electricity. It'll just draw you. You can feel it. You can look at your hair and they'll be pointing in that direction.
Good heavens to Betsy. So the compass would indicate to you the direction the entity was moving, and there was so much static electricity, you're calling it, just your hair pulled just like the compass indicated.
Yeah. And it has tremendous power. One night there was something come in there. A guy had told me he had a ghost problem. He had a dog, but a couple of dogs had chased him until they got him out of the house, and he got along all right. So I bought one of his dogs and put that in there. And it actually would chase the entities around through the house when they come to the bed in there to mess with us.
Really?
But eventually, it helped me get.
Did the entity?
For a while, but it eventually got run over with a car.
The dog did?
Yeah.
I was about to ask Lawrence, when the dog chased the entity, did the entity run from it or move from it?
The first ones there did. But there was something came in once there. I call it, buddy last, but I called it the boss bugger. And it came into the room and the dog was on the bed barking, because the dog could hear him, and the dog would go off and rip up and down through the hallway, snapping, cracking his teeth at him. But anyway, this one night, there was something with a lot of power came there, because I had the ceiling fan on and the dog laying on the foot of the bed with me, and I heard something in the hallway cracking and beating around, and the dog raised up and started to barking.
Yeah.
Then the air just died in there. I had the ceiling fan on. And I looked at the dog, and his mouth was working, but there wasn't nothing coming out. It was the air had just died. Something had so much power, it killed the air. I couldn't hear the dog barking, and I couldn't hear the ceiling fan going.
So, in other words, this dog was obviously barking, because that's what dogs do when they open their mouth, but there was no sound coming out.
Right, you couldn't hear no sound. And that really creeped me up. I grabbed my spotlight and kept it going. My arms got tired, and I kept switching arms till the thing finally left. But before it left, the dog, I coaxed it. The dog backed up towards me, towards my head, and I finally coaxed him into going after it and towed him over that way and told him to get it. And that thing grabbed the dog and threw it down the hallway.
Threw the dog down the hall?
Threw the dog down the hallway, and he went and got under the couch. He wouldn't come back out.
I understand how the dog feels, or felt. You say your dog was killed by a car.
Yes.
You think this entity had anything to do with that?
Very doubtful.
So you think it just might have been a coincidence?
Yeah, I think that was a coincidence. Their main gig is to stress you till you can't sleep. During the day, they don't mess with you. And whenever you try to lay down and get some rest of the night, that's when they start
their what they're doing, and then
problems. And I've got so I don't go to bed till 3 o'clock, or after the monkey business is over with, and then I sleep, and then the next day it's got my life turned to half a turn out on the clock.
Boy, Lawrence, I don't know if I could I could go through what you're going through. It's still happening. Does it happen every day, every other day, once a week?
Yeah, no, it happens every night.
Every night?
Every night. Well, recently, I think last week it skipped one night, and maybe it was 2 nights last week it skipped, but that's the first time it's skipped since this stuff started 3 years ago. So.
Probably doesn't make much difference to you because you've got to assume it's there if it's there every other night.
Yeah, so even when it don't get to shaking the bed, that thing can actually read your thoughts. Now, the Bible says, guard well your thoughts, because even your thoughts is heard in heaven. So I thought that was a little bit extreme, but that thing I can think if I'm laying in the bed and I want to know if it's around, or first lay down or something, if it's still there. All I have to do is just think, monkey, don't you shake the bed, and that bed will start up and down. I don't have to say nothing. All I have to do is just think it, and that thing can hear your thoughts just like if they was, just as if you was talking out loud.
Lawrence, this is an important question. Have you given any consideration to whether this entity might I'm just asking this, Lawrence, might be you?
Well, you mean, it and me is 2 different things.
In other words, I guess, telepathy, you might be, saying, go ahead, mentally shake the bed, and it shakes the bed. But doesn't that leave open slightly the possibility that this power is emanating from you?
Well, it sounds like it might, but I really don't think that it is, because I found 2 things that works on it.
Okay, Lawrence, I'm going to have to hold you over. Can you stay on the air with me?
Yeah, okay.
All right, then. We're going to delay our coming up guests, and we'll keep Lawrence on for a while. Good morning, everybody. We're in the middle of a ghost story, a real one. My guest is Lawrence Knotts. He's in West Virginia. He's disabled. He built the house that he lives in. He recently, I guess actually 3 years ago now, allowed a timber company to come in and cut the timber on his land he owns, but land which was Native American land, apparently, at one time. And immediately following that, he began to get haunted. And when I say haunted, I mean what he's had to say has been incredible. He would lay his arm off the bed, and something unseen would grab it like another arm or hand grabbing you, grab hold of him. He tried it again. It happened again. There's quite I just can't encapsulate the entire thing, but it happened to his mother, She took off. It happened to his fiancée. She took off. I had Sonny Nestor in West Virginia, who's a friend of Lawrence's, on the air last hour, and he verified what Lawrence is telling me. Lawrence has had his eyes gouged, like people sticking pins in your eyes. He's had his bed rise up off the floor. He's got videotapes of all of this. So, why is Lawrence there? Well, Lawrence built his house. It's his house. He's not going to leave. He had an exorcism performed. One spirit left the home, but two came back. Light seems to affect them. He's rigged up strobe lights. He's got flashlights. He had his mother using flashlights and his fiancée, and finally they, excuse the expression, gave up the ghost and left. So, we'll go back to Lawrence in West Virginia in a moment.
You're listening to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time, tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from the 17th of February, 2000.
These now entities, two of them, are able to be tracked in two ways. Lawrence has had a compass, and as these entities move about the room, the compass follows them. His dog, until the dog was killed, would chase these entities. But the compass would follow them around the room, and the compass would just move around. His hair would stand up, moving in the direction of the entities. It's just an amazing story. This man is living with all of this right now. Lawrence, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. You had something you wanted to continue with when we broke at the hour.
Yeah, you'd asked me a question there and thought maybe it might be a mind thing. Well,
yeah, your mind, because
yeah.
you said you could suggest to it with your mind to mentally shake the bed, and the bed would start shaking.
Yeah, well, the thing that was messed with other people, and when the exorcist came here that I invited, she had no trouble finding it in the house. She could tell where it was at. The air would get real cold wherever it was at. If you got close to it, the air was real cold.
So that happens too.
Yeah, and it's you can't see it, but if it wants you to know it's there, it'll start harassing you, and won't up to you recognize it. Or
so, with the exception of a couple of days, or every now and then, this has been happening to you every night for 3 years?
Correct.
Ever since you cut that wood?
Yeah, well, yeah. It started before actually the timber cutting was done. It started the week that I sold the timber off of it.
Oh, you mean when you signed the contract to have the timber cut?
Right. That's the week it started. And
you're pretty sure that was Native American land previous to your ownership?
Yeah, I was told there's Indian graves there, and you can see where there's at. The people that owned it back 2 or 3 generations ago.
So, in other words, it's not just Indian land. There's Indian, it's Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
Lord.
They showed me, my family showed me where my uncle did it. I heard it off of where the Indian graveyard was. And back in his recollection, they was the people that owned the land. He bought it off of some other people that owned the land, a couple of generations down. But them guys, there was some boys in that family, and they went and dug them Indian graves up. And there was about 4 out of 6 of them died in a mental institution.
4 of the 6 who dug these graves up on that land?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel, Lawrence.
So,
how old are you, Lawrence?
I'm 49.
49. During any of this, Lawrence, did you worry that you might get killed?
Well, yes, it was frightful. After I talked to Todd Barker, I sort of tried to laugh it off, and he said, "Don't take this as a joke." He said, "These things when they show up. He said there's more showed up in the United States this year than ever before, but he said, when they get tired playing mind games with you, he said they'll kill you. He said it's not unusual to have several people killed where these things is at. And that gave me a new outlook on things, and I said, well, what can I do to save myself? He said, I can't guarantee you nothing, but wear a cross. He said, everybody that messes with demon ghosts wears crosses. He said, I can't guarantee it'll keep you alive, but he said,
No.
That's my best advice to you.
This is Clive Barker saying this?
Yeah.
You're a religious man, Lawrence, aren't you?
Yeah, right.
What kind of background?
Oh, was Brethren, and I switched over to Pentecostal.
Pentecostal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Pentecostals in the West Virginia area, huh?
Right.
So, what about your church? You must have gone to them. You must have gone to your church.
Yeah, I did. That's the first place I went. I talked to my minister and asked if he had any experience with ghosts, and he said no. I said, well, how about studying up on it, because I think I've got one down here for sure, and I'm going to need help to get it out of there. I thought maybe a simple exorcism would do the job. I had no idea how much problem I was going to have. I thought maybe the preacher came and prayed over the house and prayed through the house and what have you, and
right.
ordered it out of there, it would stay out. But that was to no avail.
Have these entities spoken to you?
They make a noise. It sounds like a television or a radio in another room. And if you go to that room, it'll sound like the room you come out of. But I have had them get on each side of the bed and communicate back and forth with each other from both sides of the bed.
Never anything directly said to you, though, that you understood, as in English?
No, it's just a mottled sound. It just sounds like something at the radio that you can't completely hear the words to. You can hear the tone, voice tone, but you can't hear the detail of the...
Lawrence, this is such an amazing story. Do you want to tell us what town you're in there in West Virginia?
Well, my address is Motesville.
No, don't give me your address. Just tell me what town you're in.
Motesville.
Not. How do you spell that?
Moatsville.
Do it again slowly, please. M as in Mary.
Yeah.
O.
Moatsville.
Mosville, West Virginia. All right. Small town.
Yeah, community.
And you live kind of in a rural area, woods all around you, timber all around you, that kind of thing, huh?
Correct.
How much land do you own there?
What my house plot's on, about 8 acres, but I own about 75 up on my home place that I inherited. And that's where the graveyard's at.
And that's where the graveyard is, and that's where the timber was cut, right?
Yeah, I was pretty sure that they had something to do with it, and I was out there deer hunting, and something felt like something slapped me. I didn't see nothing there.
Slapped you.
And I said, hey, has this got anything to do with my ghost problem? Slapped me again. And I was looking down there where the graveyard was at, and the timber cutters had cut a lot of trees into it.
Uh-huh.
And really traced it up. And I said, do you want that graveyard cleaned up? And that thing slapped me twice right real quick, and I said, well, I can understand that. So I took 17 truckloads of firewood out of that graveyard, took all the brush out of it, and planted pine trees around it, made it look real nice, and put up a permanent stainless steel sign.
You did?
Marketed it as a graveyard.
You did?
Graveyard.
When did you do this? How long ago?
Oh, that was last winter. I finished it last winter.
Last winter. And still it happens to you?
Yeah, I was fairly certain that it would go away whenever I got that graveyard cleaned up. But
it didn't.
It didn't.
All right, what's the worst of what's happened to you? Eyes are gouged like needles being pushed into your eyes. You said your bed You've got videotape of it coming up off of the ground, moving. You've got videotape of this entity, which is not quite visible, but you could sort of see the fuzz, you said on the videotape, where it was moving. Is that right?
Like a mirage.
Like a mirage.
Just, how heat mirage dance and stuff, you can't get a detail on the focus of it.
Sure.
Everything else in the room was in perfect focus, but where that thing was at, the camera recorder couldn't take no picture of details where it was at.
And is that essentially the same thing that you see with your eyes when you see it, or do you see more?
I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it at all?
No.
You just feel it?
You just feel it. Even the Bible says that you can't see the spirit, just the results of it. So I've never been able to see anything, not even a shadow or anything.
Has it done any permanent physical harm to you?
Well, the most thing it's done is probably scared 10 years off of my life.
Scared 10 years off your life.
Because it is a frightening experience.
But even though, this is your house, you built it, I understand that. But at the time your mom leaves, at the time your fiance leaves, by then, your life's kind of fallen apart around you over this thing. And it must take an awful lot of will or stubbornness, I don't know which you are, willful or stubborn or both, to stay there. And I don't know what you're trying to do now. Make peace with it? Fight it out? What?
Basically, I'm trying to outlast it. I'm in hopes that it'll get tired and go away. I've been hoping that for quite a while, but I found something recently, in all honesty, that has helped me survive with it.
And that is what?
I found that if it comes into the room and messes with the bed, if I start praising the Lord, it can't hurt me or nothing. It can't punch and gouge on me. It'll shake the bed, but it can't touch me as long as I'm praising the Lord.
Has it left marks on you before?
Yeah. Not real heavy ones, but just prints and stuff like where it grab you, and if you know how you squeeze something real hard, then it'll leave red marks.
Yes.
I've had red marks and stuff left on me. And to be honest with you, I got some nerve pills. Help me deal with it.
You got some nerve
pills? It
pills?
stresses your nerves to deal with something like that.
Did you go to the doctor about this?
Yeah.
What did he say, Lawrence?
Basically, he said, listen, tell me, well, the doctor's a woman, but
okay.
She said, she said, I can give you something to help relieve the stress in your life. She said, I can give you medicine for that, but as far as medicine for that ghost problem you got, they don't make nothing for that. But she said, I can give you some stress relieving pills, so that helps my nerve, and it helps keep me from getting my nerve shot so bad that my nervous system overloads or anything. Because I've come to the conclusion too that through time and experience that I just can't get no sleep before 3 o'clock.
He stays awake with lights, folks. We had some people join at the top of this last hour with lights, which will kind of keep these things at bay, but they're not gone. They're just waiting.
Right.
And if he allows darkness to occur, they start in on him. Now, I'll tell you something, Lawrence. I was talking to my wife, who knows something about this sort of thing. And she said, you're going to have to make peace with these Native Americans, with the spirits, somehow. She suggested that you do a planting there as a gesture, plant trees, I don't know, trees, something.
I did that around the graveyard.
Yeah, that's what I've just heard this last half hour, and so I'm a little bit unsure. I'm unsure of what to tell you to do. I think I would like to see those videotapes. You know, to a lot of people, Lawrence, what you have on those tapes is evidence of either the survival of spirit after death, or maybe of evil personified in some sort of spirit. You know, I don't know how to put it, but in other words, you have very, very, very important evidence in the eyewitness testimony of your friend.
I'm sure one thing is, if you wondered whether the Bible was right or not, when something like that goes to messing with you, you won't have any trouble believing what the Bible tells you.
All right, my friend, listen. I'll tell you what. I'm going to give your number to somebody who can perhaps help you with your permission. I'll do that, all right?
Okay.
And you see about don't ever send me the original, but send me a copy of those videotapes, all right?
Okay. You have to pay attention to particular things on them to get to know what it is and when it's coming up and stuff. Because,
that's fine. Your friend said it was mostly boring until it happened, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of outlined for me where on the videotape to look for it, all right?
Okay.
Okay, Lawrence, we'll be in touch, and we're going to have someone call you. Thanks.